the Lord showed me years ago that I was taking contraception in order to fornicate. Now, once again, I'm not going to go here tonight, but come on, I'm talking to a group of beautiful ladies and you need to know the truth that's going to set you free. So my excuse for taking birth control was because of another sin. See, the sin of fornication will cause you a multitude of other sins. Because I fornicated, because I was taking contraceptions, I was able to freely fornicate, which is why I was able to freely commit the sin of abortion, because like attracts like and sin attracts sin. What I didn't know, because they didn't tell me this at the birth control clinic. See, they dished out the pills. They shot me in the hip with Depo-Provera. Come on, ladies. I really want us to think about this because a lot of times we blame our pain on other people. We don't take responsibility for the types of sin that we have committed that has opened us up to the type of pain we are experiencing. And we have to take responsibility for what we've done. Now, we know that God's forgiven us of everything. We're going to read in Isaiah because I'm going to give you a couple of anchor scriptures. But the Lord had me openly repent, not only for the sin of fornication, but for the harm I did to my body by being on contraceptives for 20 years straight. See, those are the consequences of sin. You know what the consequences of sin are? Pain, mental pain, physical pain, emotional pain. I went through all three of those because of that one sin. That sin of fornication, ladies, hurt me physically, mentally, and emotionally. I shared my story on Instagram, but I had no idea, because the devil sure didn't tell me that. The birth control clinic didn't tell me that. The pamphlet inside the birth control pills didn't tell me that. And because I was naive and ignorant and rebellious, and I went full blown into that sin, now I get to experience the consequences of that sin if I'm not born again. See, I can't get out of the consequences. If the only thing that gets me out of the consequences is becoming born again and being fully forgiven of the fornication, so that now I can lean on God for healing and deliverance from the consequences attached to that sin. Who can relate to this? See, there's a lot of sin that we have committed against our own body. And if you understand that, you have to ask yourself, could that be a root cause for some of the pain that I'm experiencing? You've heard my story multiple times, but when I opened myself up to the New Age, I suffered an aggressive amount of pain, just like Ariana did. Ariana, precious Ariana, right here tonight, she went through massive amounts of pain. You know why? Because of the things that she had opened herself and came into agreement with. Now, when Ariana was going through all this pain, guess what? They didn't tell her. Guess what all those New Age gurus didn't tell her? Hey, when you go to serve Christ and you get out of the New Age, we're coming after you. Not the people, the demons in those people that convinced her to do what they did. Now, she still has to take responsibility for all the doors she opened. But what we have to understand is that there are consequences to the sin we commit, especially against our own body. So before we go blaming a bunch of people for all the abuse they caused us and for all the things they did to us, my whole truth bomb with you tonight is that if we can take responsibility for some of the things we did against our own selves, like my dad, if we can really take responsibility, God can begin to heal us very, very quickly. This was my road on deliverance and healing. This is exactly what I had to do. So in order for me to go free, I'm sharing with you exactly what it took for me to go free. And it's a process. So when I say do this to get rid of pain, this is your journey of living pain-free and of living healed and of living totally free, in addition to living pain-free, but living mentally free and emotionally free.